All right, welcome back to International Soccer Break. I have two huge U.S. fans here, Rahi and Roy. We'll get into the U.S. game. Where do we want to start? Let's start in the first half. Let's just go sequentially to the game. So let's talk about the beginning. I'll give it to Rahi. Why don't you start off first?
We spoke at halftime, you and I, and the comment you made, which I agree with, was this is the best half of soccer the U.S. has played in years, and I completely agree with that because they were very disciplined in spacing. So you might have watched the first half and thought they're not direct enough, they're not creating enough chances. But what they did, which I thought was very smart, is they closed off every single space that Wales could exploit coming the other way. So while at times, yes, it looked a bit passive, actually what happened was every time Wales got the ball, turned over directly back to the US because they were in all the spaces. They were very disciplined in where they moved. And it was fantastic. I mean, the goal was off a Josh Sargent layoff. Christian Pulisic does what he does best in space with the perfect through ball. And Timothy Weah, who gets to start, I think was a surprise for certain people, but I was very happy to see him there, and he shows why, because the finish was beautiful. And he was also the key player in the first half. So that first half was really encouraging on multiple levels because not only did they get the goal, and I thought they attacked it in nice ways, but they did it in ways that didn't leave them exposed in the back. And that I thought there was a plan. They executed the plan. And to that point, I was very happy because it was the best I've seen them play and the most mature I'd seen them play in years, in 8 years, perhaps.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I was happy. I was happy with that first half. I was feeling good. And normally in these games, I go by my gut. And when my gut feels good, I know the U.S. is playing well. And it was really nice to watch the level of possession. It was really nice to see the patience. It wasn't like other games we saw in qualifiers where we just outpossessed but did absolutely nothing of value with it. It didn't feel like that. It felt, we weren't like attacking the whole time. We were possessing, we were being smart, and then we'll unleash a little attack here and there. So it was really nice to see.
We were a mismatch for Wales in the first half, for sure. Because the way I look at we're actually very similar. I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I think we're quite similar to England and Wales in this similar fashion. England is slightly better than us at that, and Wales is slightly worse than us at that. What I mean by that is we both have speed on the wings, and that's sort of our main strong points. And in this case, Dan James was completely negated by like Serginho Dest, I think, like on that side he was going up against. And so in the first half, it didn't work. What I knew was going to happen is I knew Rob Page was going to bring in Kiefer Moore, because that was a big adjustment that the U.S. had to make with that guy up front.
No, it changed the game. It completely changed the game because what happened was all of a sudden Tim Ream and Walker Zimmerman could, in the first half, they could step up and they'd winning all those balls. So every time that Wales would try and play long, they'd be up there to win the ball, right? What happened was now Kiefer Moore comes in. He's so big. If you're Tim Ream, you literally cannot get in front of him. So now even if he doesn't win the ball, as I'm Tim Ream, I can't win the ball. So now he doesn't take it down cleanly, but he still brings it down. Sometimes he had some great layoffs, or the ball goes out for a throw-in. Everything gets pushed back now, and it became really difficult. If you remember, the penalty came off a throw-in, and it came off a situation similarly where we got caught napping a little bit on a throw-in, and that led to a terrible decision by Walker Zimmerman. But it really changed the game because now all of a sudden Wales had an outlet, and we weren't able to push up in the way that we liked. And the other factor that really changed is our midfield turned off. Weston McKennie, who I think is could be our most important player when he's playing well, he looked injured, or he just had a really bad game. I think it's a combination of the two. He was disciplined defensively, fine, but he really needs to do more in attacking positions, and I think that really hurt us because the midfield in the second half, I think Yunus Musa maybe got tired. I'm not sure. Weston McKennie looked injured. Tyler Adams was still fantastic, but the midfield started to seed a lot more. Aaron Ramsey pushed up a little bit. And he was able to do that because Kiefer Moore could kind of take more space, and we ceded a little bit of control in the middle. And the problem, and this is the big issue that I had with the game, was that the first half was fantastic, and then we weren't able to adjust. What I thought was our strength, our youth, and our speed and athleticism, it's our naivety that became like the weakness in the second half.
I'm gonna shed a like slightly. This is kind of a slightly lighter note, but in disguise at least. Like I thought we could have lost the game at the end, frankly. Like at the very end, like when they were putting pressure. I mean, I think Brennan Johnson had like a run down that, and he put it right into Matt Turner's arms. And
The
so
angle
like
was
it's
tough.
yeah. What'd you say?
The angle was tough, but can we talk about Kellen Acosta? That play to foul Gareth Bale was
Smart.
extremely smart. And it
Yeah.
was, if you remember, in 2014, when we lost to Portugal, we tied Portugal in the last minute when Michael Bradley gives the ball away. That was the exact opposite of that play. That was, I know what's about to happen here. I'm going to pull Gareth Bale down because he's about to chip this. I mean, can you imagine losing the game on Gareth Bale
Oh, geez.
hitting it from the half line? That you don't recover from. And so I think that play, that's a brilliant plan. That's the kind of experience and sort of big game mentality.
We'll finish up here by just looking at the next game. I think. So, what do you think they need to do? What do you think they need to do, like going into the England game?
You
They
started
need they need to pray. No, I think that we look. I don't. In the end of this game, a tie is fine. A tie is fine because the question remains, right? My fear, my hope, and looking at the first half was this was a great performance. They're tactically going to be a lot sounder than I thought. They have some players that are disciplined and smarter than I realized. And then the second half, my big question was, do we have the mojo, the big game experience to rise to the moment? And we were naive.
Yeah.
And we've shown it in the past in some Nations League against Mexico, the final, the Gold Cup final. This is a big game. This England game is the biggest game these guys have played in their lives. It's the biggest game Greg Berhalter has coached in his life. Every time this team has been backed up against the wall, they have, in my experience so far, they have responded. These guys are going to be so up for this game. They're going to be so ready. They play against these players. I think Brent Aronson will probably come in to start. He's a Premier League player. He'll probably come in to start this game. I think the question becomes, how do you manage key moments? Because I think England is going to give you opportunities to play. They're going to come at you, yes. There's going to be space behind them, yes. There's going to be chances. We're going to get a couple chances. Not as many as England's going to get, I don't think. But can we make our chances count more than they make their chances count?
For the next game, unlike this first game, it's going to be a tremendous level of pressure on our defense. We didn't have to deal with very much. The entire first half against Wales, Zimmerman didn't have to work very hard. Ream didn't have to. It was mostly passing out of the back that made them look great. They weren't making big defensive plays. We're going to need every single one of them to make massive defensive plays, starting with Turner, but we need the two center backs to be on it. No lapses of judgment. We can't afford them. Even a little happy that Zimmerman got it out of the way today, and it wasn't something that led to a loss. We lost 2 points, but we can't afford to do any of that because they're going to be playing on top of our 18 for a large percentage of the game. And we're going to have to hope and pray that we're able to win possession and counter because we can't outpossess them. They press like crazy today against Iran. And simply put, position by position, they are the better team. Every single position on the field.
I think 100%. I think 100% they're position by position. But what I think is going to be very interesting is I don't think we can just sit back. Like, I don't think that's the strategy because what will happen is you can't just keep absorbing pressure, especially our players. I think the counterattacks need to be fast and smooth, but we do have to push on those counterattacks with both the wingbacks. The only problem is their wingbacks are really fast too, and their forwards are really fast. So that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean the key for them is how do we deal with Saka and Sterling? Those are their guys. Those are the two guys that we have to stop. I think the team runs through them now. And a little bit of this game might look a little like US Mexico. And if it does, that's great, I think. I hope it looks a little bit like US Mexico.
I hope so. I don't think it's going to look like that. I think it's going to look more like US Belgium.
That wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good.
Matt Turner to stand on his head if it's based on the way the teams played today.
I think Roy's fading to black over there, so
being absorbed by the darkness, dude. All my pessimistic takes here.
All the energy, but
engulfed by the dark. Oh, here we go.
There we go. You got a little light going on. So
the sun will rise again, Roy.
It will
Hopefully on
rise
Friday.
again, and I will
Hopefully
rise
on
with you.
Friday.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, cool. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys after the next game. Go USA, and catch you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.